Greetings, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com. Join me as we take a walk in the Sense of Wonder Library. I got a special video for today. It's all about the symbology of the spiral staircase. You know, I've been working on a reproduction of a Rembrandt painting, and in it there's a spiral staircase, and it got me thinking a lot about them and their symbology. Well, anyway, we'll get into that, but first I wanted to say the two most famous spiral staircases in the world are one in the Vatican Museum in Rome and another one in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I visited both of them. And in this video, I will show you pictures, talk about each one, and give you a little bit of enlightenment on each one. And then I'll finish this off with a little bit about the symbology of the spiral staircase. So let's launch into it. Okay, let's start our adventure here in Rome. And the picture you were looking at is a picture I took of the main entrance to the Vatican Museum. It's inarguably one of the top 3 or 4 museums in the world, along with the Louvre and the Met in New York. And I was a little taken, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this place because it's kind of important when it comes to the spiral staircase inside. I was a little taken aback by the entrance to this museum. It's rather austere. I expected more, but that's okay. When we first enter, you know, you pay your ticket and you go through, and they have millions of visitors a year, so it's all very carefully laid out and programmed. And like I was saying, when you first enter, I was surprised that you just aren't into the museum quite yet. You have to go up a large staircase. And there's a couple of levels to it. And it's very wide because there's a lot of people. And that caught me by surprise that you don't really see anything yet until you climb up. But a thing you got to understand about these museums, these world-class museums, is that every single little tiny detail is very carefully thought out and planned, and nothing goes to chance. They have the amount of money, time, energy, and expertise they have is remarkable, and they pour it all into every single little tiny aspect of the museum. And that's why it caught me by surprise that I said, gee, how come we're not in the museum? We got to go upstairs. And there's a reason for that, and that involves the spiral staircase. So once you're in the museum proper, you do have some ability to go where you want, and to a certain extent, but there's a lot of people and there's a lot going on, and they very carefully have crafted a way for you to kind of make your way through the museum. And you see all these, and and almost everything has a religious aspect to it. Of course, it's a Catholic Vatican museum, so that's to be expected. And as you go through all these things, and I recommend you spend more than one day there if you're going. But then you finally, at the end of your day, I guess, you come to a couple of hallways with maps of the world and tapestries, which is actually quite beautiful, which is wonderful. And then you get to the masterpiece of the whole museum, the Sistine Chapel. And I can't show you pictures because they don't allow photographs in there, but these are pictures I got off of Wikipedia. And now you've pretty much completed your journey through the museum. And this is where the spiral staircase, I'll show you one more here, and it's all ended up with the Last Judgment here. That's Michelangelo's Last Judgment. And then after viewing all of that and seeing all the museum, you head out of the museum, you have to go back down. And this is where the spiral staircase comes in. And I realized why we went up to get into the museum. Now we're descending back down to earth from I guess you could say, a kind of sort of heaven, where all the most treasured beautiful works of art in the world are being kept. So you've gone onto that adventure almost like to heaven, and then the spiral staircase is how you descend back down to earth. It's really quite remarkable, the symbology of it, and it's all very carefully planned out for you. So I think, that's kind of wonderful. And a fascinating thing you might not have noticed here is about this spiral staircase is it's actually 2 staircases. And I don't know if the word double helix is correct for it, but it might be the correct word for it's a double helix, much like the DNA. And you wouldn't be able to, it's kind of difficult to see, but there's actually, it's 2 staircases in one. There is a staircase down and a staircase up. And it's quite remarkable. And if you'll notice, there's only people going down because they have it closed off because nobody's coming up, because that changes the symbology, right? And one way you can notice this is if you look in the very center, all the way down the bottom of the staircase, you can kind of see like a white circle with a little statue there. And to the left and to the right of it are gold steps. So one set of steps is for the people coming down, and the other set of steps is for the people going up. So you can have people going up and people coming down this staircase at the same time, and they never meet each other. So it's kind of really clever and remarkable. So that picture we were just looking at of that beautiful spiral staircase, of which is a double helix, similar to DNA, is that's the modern version, and it was built in 1932. But that we descend back down to earth on that. But the original Bramante staircase was installed in 1505, and that's what you're looking at here. And Leonardo da Vinci himself lived in Rome between 1513 and 1516. So the staircase was there, and he was there. And it is known that Da Vinci did commission work for the papacy during that period of time, and also worked he practices botany in the Vatican Garden. So there's a very good chance that he walked that very spiral staircase. And to me, that says a lot about how, we are individual human beings, but we're also part of a continuum, of the feet that march and continue on our little pilgrimage here in life. So I promised you 2 spiral staircases, so let's take a look at the second one. This is the miraculous staircase in a little chapel, the Loreto Chapel in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And there's an interesting story about how this staircase appeared. Some say it's a miracle. And I guess the nuns who ran this building, I think it was at the time it might have been a schoolhouse or a chapel, and they didn't have enough money to have a staircase put in to go up to the choir loft upstairs. And a mysterious man showed up with a donkey and wood, and he spent several months working quietly and built the staircase, this beautiful spiral staircase, without pay, and then disappeared. And it's quite a remarkable work. There's no nails were used, and it's all very carefully made. Well, anyway, but the spiral staircase here, there's a miracle, the possibility of a miracle attached to this staircase, which is wonderful, and it does bring people up to the choir loft, where music emanates from, I guess you could say. So that's quite wonderful. I have more about this staircase. And the banisters there actually were not with the original. Those were added later on. So that's my little talk about spiral staircases. I hope you enjoyed it. I think if I could give you something else to think about here, as far as Da Vinci he went off on many tangents. He studied many different things, and I think that's a really good thing. But a small example of that is sometimes when you're creating things, or you're writing, or you're painting, or you're making things, you may have ideas that send you off into different tangents. Follow them. Like, and this video is a good example of that, where I started making working on a stop-motion animation set of Philosopher Meditation, and while building the spiral staircase, it got me to thinking about spiral staircases. So I chased that down a little bit. So feel free to do that with your creativity. Chase things in different directions. It's really quite wonderful. It will improve your creativity, and sometimes just wonderful things pop up. So the spiral staircase is a symbolic way of transferring us either from a holy and sacred place above back down to earth, as in the case of the Vatican Museum, or to transfer us back and forth from earth up to a place where celestial and sacred music is sung, as in the Loretto Chapel. And DNA, being a double helix spiral staircase, is that what transfers us from a celestial, sacred other place into our existence here on earth?